Got my friend Dan here. Dan, we're going to be putting your new seat on.
All right.
Yeah, Dan got the new seat from TracSeats.com. We've talked about that a little bit, but we're actually going to install it here today. Let's get started. So Dan, let's start with these Allen heads right here.
Okay.
We're really taking off these rails. We have to slide the seat all the way forward to get to the back ones. And likewise, we'll have to slide it all the way back to get to the front ones, and we still don't have very good access to the front ones. Okay, I think you got it. Now notice what we got here, Christy. Notice that's a flange nut. You can set it right in your box end wrench. We'll use that trick when we go back in. It's a 13 millimeter on the bottom. I'm not sure what size the Allen is. Now Dan, you go by the handle Hoosier Daddy.
Yeah.
On Green Tractor Talk.
Yep.
That's kind of an old Indiana saying, right? We're trying to figure out what Hoosier means.
What is a Hoosier?
Nobody knows what a Hoosier is. Okay, that's got that part. Okay, now we'll move the seat back. This is where we discover that we have to get in, we have to do more damage. Dan's got a lot of the accessories we show on this channel. Here's the Ken's bolt-on differential lock pedal. We're gonna have to take it off.
Tim, I hate to say it, but
I know it. That's why we're on to the next step here, Dan.
I don't think I'm getting anywhere.
No, you might as well quit for now. This is something that when we go back together, we have to be careful with. Christy actually broke one of these. You remember that, Christy?
No, actually I don't, but.
Can't tighten that too tight because it's plastic there, see?
Okay.
So, but it's not a big deal. It's a slide on there. You have a certain thing. You just can't tighten this Allen too tight when we go back on.
Okay, that's a set screw, isn't it? Just holding it right
Yep.
there.
It's a set screw. It doesn't need to be too tight. Now we need to pull this off, and that can just be pulled straight up. Yeah, that right there, it is. Pull her straight up. Now we need to take that differential lock pedal off. It's 7/16 or Nipex.
7/16 and Nipex.
Well, you had that on there tight. There it goes. Now, sometimes when that's been squeezed on there real tight, we have to use a screwdriver to pry it apart a little bit to get it off. There we go. See, it's got a little slot. It just gets tight. We have 2 Phillips screws here. See those that are headed in that way? We have these 2 bolts here, see, and they have those big flat washers on them. Mm-hmm. And under those flat washers are some spacers. And that's the easiest thing we have to lose here during this process is those spacers. These bolts are studs, basically. The nuts that they go into are welded or whatever. So we don't have to hold the nut on the bottom side. Looks like I'm gonna have to go all the way out with it, with the socket. Maybe finally easy enough. And I'll show you that spacer. So pull the washer up and see that little spacer right there?
Yep. Okay.
So we should have all the bolts out of this piece here, and we're going to have to try to get this piece off. And it's a lot of finesse. First, notice, we have to kind of notice what order everything is. The side pieces over here go on top, right? And we're going to have to kind of go forward here and up and all at the same time. It's not trivial to get this out. Well, I said it wasn't, and it was easy. It's harder to get it in, I promise you that. So the reason we had to take that off was to get to this nut, so I could hold the back side of this nut for you. There, you're in it. By holding my thumb against it, see, I'm able to keep your ratchet ratcheting. I put a little bit of resistance on it. Oh, good, this one's loose. There we go. We got to get that cable out of there. You got it?
Yep.
I'll see if I can get the cable. There we go. Okay, run off with it. Now we're not totally done with that, so don't go too far. So what we're going to need from there is the seat belt holders. Right? So we're not done. We probably should have taken those off first. It might have been easier to deal with, but
Oh well.
if we did it right the first time, then it would be boring. So this is the platform we're going to be working on, right? Those 4 holes, and that gives us. But what's unique about the 1025R versus several other machines is this is not flat. It's tilted forward. And that's why standard off-the-shelf seat kits don't fit. So this is what we're going to be doing, Dan. We're just going to be putting these down here just like this. And those holes, we'll put them in the rearmost holes. Would you call them the frontmost holes? Except yours don't line up. Mine don't either. Maybe one of these is twisted or something. Yeah, it's an alignment issue here, isn't it? Okay, so we're loosening these 2 right here so that we can move that. Look at that. Okay, so if that doesn't line up quite right, loosen those 2, and we'll put these 4 bolts in, and then we'll tighten those up.
Back up.
Tighten those back up. I
That
think we
helps a
should.
little bit. It's not perfect, but it helps.
Now, by the time you get your brackets, for those viewers that are watching, they may already be enhanced. So your brackets may not look identical to this. So this is the trick, Dan. Watch this. So you have to put your flange nut in your wrench. Like that, see?
Mm-hmm.
There we go. I want to see you do that with the other hand.
That's true. So do I.
Yep. Get it slid all the way under there. And then we'll set this on top. There you go. Okay, it feels like it's coming together. Yeah. Okay, that's good. Now let's put these front 2 in. I think we can reach these with our fingers. Okay, let's go ahead and tighten those down. I'll hold with the wrench. Look at that. We've been through a couple iterations with these brackets. This is updated from the ones that you got sent, Dan. Okay. And that's one thing. Trac Seats is going to make this right? So they're going to get this perfect. These slots are a little bit longer. We'll show you why that is. That'll allow us to scoot the seat further back. If we need any more backward movement, we may have to drill a new set of holes here. Okay? But I think this might be enough. I think it'll get us right to where the seat was before. And the risk of going back much further is this hitting our rock shaft when we raise it. In fact, we probably should try that out now. So we'll be okay. You know, we could go back another inch without hitting that if we need to. But we'll keep that in mind. We'll try our new seat, and hopefully we can get it back far enough here. And if we can't, that's what we'll do, is we'll go back and we'll just drill some more holes right here.
Do we need to tighten these up since
we do need to tighten those up. Thank you for reminding. Otherwise, you might find yourself rattling off on the ground. First step here on seat prep is to remove these seat belt holders, the seat belts themselves, I guess, off of the old seat, and we'll transfer them to the new seat. The new seat has a different size bolt than the old seat, at least in my old seat. We'll see if Dan's fit. I'll try this without the seat belt at all. So the existing one is just too small. So I'll find an M12 by 1 3/4. Dan, the instructions here say that this is an M12 nut right here, right? So it says use M12 by 1.75 by 25 millimeter bolts. But in practicing here, what we're seeing is this is a 7/16.
Yeah, threads right in.
So this is an SAE. So I've got a 7/16 by 1 bolt. So let's use that for our seat belts. So no wonder our M10s
Will
didn't fit.
that work on the end of it? Probably not.
Well, no, this is an M10, so that won't work. So where's the seatbelt piece? I probably should get a washer for that. I'll get a flat, and then you can screw that in. I'll double check with the manufacturer, and we'll make sure that we include the necessary bolts in any more seat kits that get shipped from TracSeats.com. So he can do this test on his own. These are 7/16 here, and he specifically said M12. Well, we'll get that resolved, and we'll include the right bolts in our kits going forward. We didn't include any bolts in these because I think the thought was the seatbelt bolts from the existing seat would work, but they don't, at least in this one. So once you tighten that on there, I think we should be able to do a little finesse work here, because it was pretty tight against that seat. This seat's got a lot more support right in here than what the original seat had. Okay, so now we need to remove this one. That's back to the metric socket. Now, Dan, you're not a mechanic, right?
No, I did not get the God's gift of mechanically inclinedness.
Okay, so that's fine. I think what we're trying to illustrate here is this isn't that hard. Don't worry about the bolt. It's of no use to anybody anymore. And you can go ahead and start over there. I'm going to configure for our next here somewhere. Okay, happy with that?
Yep.
So let's tilt the seat over now. If anything, I think this seat's a little heavier, a little beefier than the factory seat.
Absolutely. I noticed that immediately when I picked it up out of the box.
Now we're going to try to transfer the seat switch. The new seat doesn't come with a switch, but it comes with a place that the existing one is supposed to fit. Okay, so there's how it's coming out. So I'm going to try to go in underneath all of this. I just lost it. This seat switch is a little bit more painful than what we had kind of hoped. There's a piece of cloth right here, and we need to slide the seat switch under the piece of cloth. When we first started this, we had the seat setting as an angle, and I slid the seat switch down. That's easy, not easy for me to say.
No.
But it got away from me. And so I think it's best to keep this seat flat, upside down here. We've got it hanging over the side of our workbench. And then I think when we can push it in here, we'll keep control of it more rather than it just kind of falling and getting away from us. So now the prong's facing toward the back. So we have to turn it 180 degrees here. But in many ways, just getting it where we've got a hold of it here from the top is a huge victory, because we had totally lost our seat switch. How is that gonna work? Look at that. Look where we got it. We are so close. Well, we got the seat switch in there, but I don't really have any advice for how you can do it. I had to bail out and call Christy. So when we get in that situation, we know we're in bad shape, but her little hands was able to get this. You slide the seat switch under this fabric piece here, between the fabric and the cushion. This is the rear of the seat back this way, and when she pulled really hard on it and twisted really hard, she was able to get the switch up through the hole. But since we don't have video of it, and I'm telling you it's difficult enough that we're not going to try it a second time so we can illustrate it for you. It just doesn't fit very well. Editorial comment, I'm not a fan of the seat switch anyway. And a simple little jumper makes it problem all go away. But you didn't hear that here. Dan, let's take these little protective nuts off here. Okay, so let's carry it over there. I'll get a hold of it for now. Now we're going to drop these studs right into these slots. Put the back ones in.
Front one's in.
Your front one's in?
A little bit. It's not down. There it is.
My front one's not in. Raise yours up a little bit on the front and come my way a little bit as much as you can. May have to.
We raise it up more, all the way.
Now are you in, Ann? Maybe we got both sides in now.
Okay.
Okay, now let's slide it back and then hop up there. You hop up there and sit on the seat, see what you think. Now we've got the seat all the way back at this point, so we don't have any more back unless we rework some things. But we could tip it back a little bit more. We've got some spacers they provided for tipping it back.
It's like a Cadillac.
Yeah.
I like it. I'd say it's about right. What do you think?
Look, I'm not riding. It's not my tractor.
Yeah, that's about where I was before, I think.
That sounds good. Let me try it. Oh, I forgot. It's not down.
Is that further back than yours?
That's further back than that one. Yeah, that's nice. I might want mine tilted just a little bit more, but I've always been known to want my seats way reclined. And so we've got some little spacers that are included in the package for you to choose what you want. And it's interesting, if you like it like this, then I think we'll continue using the spacers. Manufacturer talked about changing the angle of the brackets, and I hate to see them do that because other people might not prefer that.
So you can put those spacers on the front and that would give you a little recline?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I think we've got 1/4-inch spacers and 1/2-inch spacers. And the amount of room we've got is the length of those studs. Right, that's really all we can do is the length of the studs. Okay, let's put the nuts on then. Do you want to try it with a spacer? See if you like it better?
If it's not too much trouble,
We'll try these spacers here. We'll just put them on this stud. These are the 1/2-inch variety. These are the max. Okay. Okay, now try it. See if you like that better. Now, of course, be careful because the seat's not fully.
yes, I do, after trying it. That little recline makes a lot of difference.
Okay.
Yes, sir. I like it.
I do too. Well, I shouldn't say that. I know that I like how the suspension. I really like that. Oh yes, that 1/2-inch makes all the difference.
Yeah. Especially us for full-figured guys.
Speak for yourself.
I know.
And me. Well, the last step here is to put these nuts on the bottom of those studs from the seat, and then we'll tighten those up. That 1/2-inch spacer is the max spacer we can put on here. I don't believe we could get the nut started if we had anything bigger.
How hard do you want to crank on these? As hard as normal, or do you want to not quite as close to the plastic spacer?
Probably not too hard, but these are a lock nut of sorts, these flange nuts are, so they should. Don't want the thing coming off, right? Gear wrench is the right tool for the back one. 13mm. Now for the back together. Okay, I've got you on the hard side for a purpose, but you've got all the heavy lifting. So the main thing is the differential lock pedal under there. See it? You got to push it down and hold it down. No, the differential lock pedal itself.
Oh, okay. Push the pedal down. Okay.
So, now, I found this relatively difficult. Yeah, you're just going to have to hold that with one hand all down all the time. Now, get between the steel and the plastic first thing here. Is that the height, right height?
Yep.
Okay, we're going to rotate in like that. We really need to press down really hard right here to try to keep from scratching that. Okay, we are almost home. We are home. Okay. Look at that. Once it pops in,
Thank you, Christy.
and I want you to start this with your fingers. The reason I want you starting this with your fingers is because I got aggressive on one of these one time and I messed up the threads. So typically, you have to push that down like that to find, I'll hold it. And you see if you can find the nut that it goes into. Start turning it, yeah. I think that's about the right height. Does it feel good?
Yep, I think I got it. Started it anyway.
Okay, good. Now the next pieces we need before we tighten them up too far are those bolts that have the shiny bolts, these silver-looking bolts that have the ones with the big flat washers and spacers on them. I put it all in on one piece. Kind of hold that spacer with your other hand as you drop it down so it doesn't do that.
I think it still captured it though.
I think there's a 13 socket over there. It would actually work better than what you're doing there. You need the socket. You should be able to tighten this one down pretty snug. That's what that spacer's all about. See, that spacer keeps you from squeezing that plastic too hard. Just the rate of drop control. So you can adjust how fast your 3-point goes down. This one you have to be a little careful with. Use a small Allen wrench so that you don't put too much on it. If you use a big socket, you could totally tear that up. Okay, that's good on that. I believe we're down to about the diff lock pedal.
We are.
One side has a little notch on it. Turn it over. See that little open notch?
Yes, I do.
There you go. There you go.
Okay.
And you are in. There's the 7/16 gear wrench. What do you think? Luxury?
Yes. It's very comfortable. I could ride all day, I think.
Yeah, well, that's a lot of fun if you can have fun all day. You know, some people were saying we wanted an air seat. I wanted an air seat. But once I've ridden on this seat, I think it's probably just as good.
Yeah.
Now, this one does not fit a tractor with a backhoe. It doesn't rotate forward. So we're still working on the brackets to try to make them so we can tilt it forward. But if you don't have a backhoe, this one will work fine. And you know, if you have to get under there, you know how those 4 studs is all you have to take off.
Yep.
TracSeats.com. Use code TTWT for a 5% discount. Izzy says that he wants to check it out. Have you had a good time?
Yes, yes. And thank you for your help. It's very much needed. I mean, very much appreciated, and because I would have been lost in a part of it. But.
We'll see what we can do about that seat switch. We'll try to update maybe in a pinned comment below here if we learn anything about the seat switch. For now, I'm afraid the best thing to do is just disable it, jump her across and move on, because it was incredibly frustrating to try to get that thing in. That's my current recommendation. We'll, again, pin comment below if we can improve that. Dan, I hope you really enjoy your new seat.
I will.
And thanks for coming to visit us.
Yes, sir.
And thank you guys for watching. We'll see you next time on Tractor Time with Tim. For we must all appear before the judgment seat of Christ, so that each of us may receive what is due us for the things done while in the body, whether good or bad. And Izzy.
She's the friendliest cat I ever met. You're the friendliest cat I've ever met.
Yeah, I think he's home.
Yeah, he's just like, okay, I'm good.